I have a few questions for you. Have you ever thought of how many clothes you actually use in your closet? Have you ever wondered if you're getting your money's worth out of the clothes that you buy? Or have you struggled to find your style or can't figure out what clothes actually fit or what looks good on you? I had all these questions at the end of 2024, and so I decided to catalog my wardrobe. I decided to take a photo and track everything that I wore for a year. And so here I am a year and 4 months later, and I'm going to talk about my current stats of my wardrobe, as well as some things that I learned for all the stats nerds out there, as well as people who want to truly see what it looks like to catalog your wardrobe, so I can hopefully inspire you to do the same. Because what's the point in having a closet? What's the point in buying clothes when you don't even use them? Hello everyone, my name is Alex. I did a low buy year in 2025, and I also am doing a low buy year in 2026. All of those videos, as well as basically everything that I am posting, is part of my Road to Minimalism journey. If you want to check out that playlist, you can. But in the beginning, one of the things that I did was to track and catalog my wardrobe. I did make a video at the 4-year mark, and that included some of the stats as well as me decluttering a few things that I realized I no longer wanted. But this video is going to be the year-long conclusion of tracking my closet, and I am so excited to share and to give a little insight on it. Before we start, I need to put up a vinyl, so I'm going to choose this one. This is the Sound of Change album by the Dirty Heads. We're going to put that there. All right, so what does my closet look like at the beginning of me tracking everything, and what does it look like now? Like I said, it's been about a year and 4 months since I started this process. I'm going to put up some screenshots on the screen. If you're wondering what app I use the app Wearing. I know there's a ton of other popular ones. I think it just depends on your preference, but my tracking is very basic and it tracks what I need. At the beginning, I had 85 items of clothing. 84% were new, 16% were secondhand. And then as of a few days ago, I have 73 items. 42% are new, 21% were secondhand, and 37% were gifted. Now, the gifted feature was added after I did the original tracking. I'm so happy they added it, because at the beginning, all of the stuff that was gifted to me, I cataloged as new. So the new item category was hugely inflated. So now it's a little bit more accurate to what I actually have. When it comes to colors, my main colors at the beginning were white and black. That takes up around half of all the colors. And then I have a mixes of greens, grays, and beiges. And then at the end, my two main colors are again black and white, but it looks like I have increased my colored items a little bit more. Overall, the composition is pretty well, and I think I've found my color scheme. I haven't really dabbled into finding my color palette, as in what colors work for me, mainly because I go from being super pale to super tan. My hair color changes a lot, so I don't think I've really established a solid physical color palette, so it's hard for me to reflect that in my clothing. But for me, if I like a piece of clothing, I'm gonna wear it. I'm not gonna worry about whether or not it matches my skin tone. As of a few days ago, I have used 97% of my wardrobe, which is pretty impressive. I think there's only 2 things that I've worn 0 times. And then my wardrobe value, aka the money that I've spent on clothes since I started this tracking process, I've spent 6,302 pesos, or $350 US. When I look at my most worn items versus my least worn items, there definitely is a theme or a pattern in those things, and that separation that I can very much see. A lot of the clothes that are considered my least worn items are more special occasion and more athletic gear that is specific to a certain climate, or they're things that I've used so much and just in this season of life I haven't touched. When it comes to special occasion clothes, I think it'd be best to maybe keep 1 or 2 things max. That's my recommendation for you guys. If there's special occasion things, you don't need several options for one special occasion or for one instance. So having a go-to piece of clothing for these special instances saves a lot of headaches and decision fatigue. Now I'm going to go over my uses per item. So I counted the total uses of everything that I wore for every single item of clothing, and I found the average. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I have 73 items of clothing. Depending on your situation, you might consider this a smaller closet, you might consider this a bigger closet. I consider it more on the smaller end of things. I'm thinking of making a video of talking about the top reasons why I think you should have a smaller closet. If you're interested in that, let me know. I might just make it either way. Okay, so I have 73 items, and the uses per item range from 0 to 109. There was a piece of clothing that I used 109 times. Across all of my items of clothing, there were 1,912 uses. And then the average use per item came out to 26 uses per item. I think is absolutely amazing. I am so happy that I managed to do that. In June of 2025, I realized that there were so many clothes that I was using constantly, and then a lot of them I was neglecting. And that's kind of what you realize when you start tracking your stuff, is that you're actually, like, in your stats, you can realize how little you use certain pieces of clothing. So I made it a goal to myself to prioritize a lot of the lesser worn clothing. So that definitely raised the average use per item, but that's the whole point. The whole point is to use your closet. So what if I didn't do it organically and I realized this? That was the whole point of me tracking it. That's like an average of almost a month of use per item for the total of 16 months that I did this. Okay, now let's get into the prices per item. So again, like I said, I tracked all of the stuff that I bought at the beginning of me starting this process leading up to today or yesterday as when I stopped tracking. Like I said at the beginning, I spent around $350 total since I've started this process. In that time, I've bought 20 items for an average price of 315 pesos or around $17 per item. And with everything said and done, the average price per use on those items comes out to 20 pesos and 12 centavos or $1.10. Imagine having so many of your clothes have a price per wear of $1. A big part of that reason was also because I bought a lot of secondhand stuff. I bought really good quality forever stuff, but I also bought a lot of secondhand stuff. If you really want to try to get your money's worth out of clothes, I definitely recommend getting secondhand stuff. That's definitely gonna push you in the right direction when it comes to trying to get your money's worth out of your pieces. Okay, those were all of my stats, and now I'm going to briefly talk about some of the things that I learned throughout this process. Before I started this, I didn't really know my style, and I can't confidently say that I know my style now, but I definitely have a better understanding of what I like. One thing that I learned is that I discovered the prioritization of natural fibers in my clothing. If I really want something to feel good and to be good for the environment, I want it to be natural fibers. So everything that I bought throughout the time that I did this was 50% or more natural fibers. I really discovered what I liked and what I felt comfortable in. I very much prioritize comfort over style. Like, I like to have my own style, but I also want to be as comfortable as I can. So really discovering what clothes in my closet don't actually suit me for that situation and for that level of comfortability that I want, it really made me question and double check all the purchases that I was making moving forward. I also realized that I don't really need a lot of clothes. I mentioned that I was prioritizing the least worn items for a while, and I still am. I'd say 10 to 15 of the most worn items I tried to put away, or they are put away, so I don't reach for them, so I prioritize other stuff. And I've realized that I've forgotten about them, and I've been able to function perfectly fine without them in my closet. So that's like 10 or 15 items of clothing that I could function without. So it puts things into perspective of the quantity of clothes that I actually need. So technically I can function with less, but I also really like all the clothes that I have right now, and there is a level of trying to commit to those items and be responsible with loving them and making sure I get a lot of uses out of them. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you are thinking of cataloging your closet or have already cataloged your closet, let me know and let me know your experience. I would love to hear it if you learned anything or if you discovered something about yourself that you didn't know. I am going to continue to track my closet moving forward. It's become second nature to me to, at the end of the day, just add all the things that I wore that day to my app and then go to bed. I think I'll stop tracking once I feel satisfied with my closet. Who knows when that will be, but I really hope that there will be an end date. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming up on my channel, and I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye.